Welcome to Startup Takeoff, your way to entrepreneurship in Germany, a podcast for students with an international or intercultural background who want to create a startup in this country. My name is Camila Muñoz, and in this episode we will talk about a topic that can be very confusing and overwhelming for founders: social security. So, to help deal with some of the usual worries about social security when starting a business, I invited Luis Garbo, a startup consultant at Techniker Krankenkasse, the largest health insurance fund in Germany.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today. My name is Luis, and I'm a startup consultant at Techniker Krankenkasse, short we say TK. It's based in the Rhein-Main area and beyond. I serve as the interface between founders and our expert team. It's called Social Pizza. And together we help startups to navigate through the jungle of the social security, health topics, and all the legal questions around recruiting and also international talent. And our goal is to slow down the bureaucracy, create clarity, and give founders like the freedom to focus on their ideas and growth. Important notice in advance, all figures, data, and regulations I'm going to mention today are valid as of 2026, since legal frameworks can change. This is for orientation only today, and does not replace like an individual advice. So I hope everything will be working fine today.
And how long have you been working for the TK, and what does your job with startups look like?
Yes, I've been working as a business consultant at Techniker Krankenkasse since 2017, and I have specialized since 2021 in advising startups. Yes, since then, I've been actively involved in startup scene, in co-working spaces, at pitch events, universities, and innovation hubs. Today we are in Hub 31, so you can meet me there. I see myself as an uncomplicated accelerator, guiding founders through the social security jungle. And my goal is to have founders backs so they can fully focus on their ideas, the products, and the growth. I combine my experience with companies in areas like corporate health management, diversity management, and onboarding international professionals, which is a big topic, with the know-how of our specialized expert team. It's called Social Pizza, because Techniker Krankenkasse stands for Innovative Health Solutions. And I'm especially interested in how startups are developing new approaches and how we can create real added value for our members together. So my job is not just to answer questions, it's more to build up solutions, create structures, and guide startups through the bureaucratic hurdles, practical, understandable, and always with a focus on real added value.
And social security can be a very complicated topic for most of us, but you help entrepreneurs to understand it and navigate it. What would you say is the most rewarding part of your job?
That's a good question. I think it's really tough. So the magic moment for me is when uncertainty turns into clarity. So when founders realize, I've got this, I know what to do, I can move forward. So social security is a tedious topic for many, complicated, confusing, and often source of worry. That's exactly where we come in. We make those topics tangible, solution-oriented, and as simple possible. It's especially rewarding when I see that my support not only saves time, but creates real competitive advantages, whether in recruiting, company culture, or quickly implementing new ideas. So my goal is to be the team behind your team, so you can found your business with full energy.
And before we get into the different scenarios of social security, let's explain a bit how it works in Germany. We have the health insurance, the pension insurance, unemployment insurance, long-term care insurance, accident insurance, and they are all part of the social security. When we are employed, we usually pay these contributions automatically from our salary. But how does it look for entrepreneurs?
Yeah, as you said, we have many insurances in Germany. So the German social security system is based on solidarity. That means everybody pays for anybody. So it consists of 5 pillars, as you mentioned. Health insurance, the first, long-term care insurance, pension insurance, unemployment insurance, accident insurance. And that are a lot of insurances. And for employees, the employers and the employees share the contributions. For self-employed people, health and long-term care insurance are mandatory. And pension and unemployment insurance are voluntary, but can be sensible to protect yourself in case of long illness, loss of contracts, or later in life.
And when we talk about startups, there are also like different stages that every startup goes through. For example, the planning phase, the founding phase, the development or growth phase. I think for this episode, we can focus on the first two stages to make it more clear for people who are just starting. For example, the planning and founding. So we can look at typical concerns regarding social security when starting a business, and especially for the transition between being a student and a founder, becoming a founder. First, let's start with the planning phase, where the focus is still on developing the business plan and finding the first fundings. When you start a business, you usually become self-employed first, before possibly hiring people later on. Whether this affects your health insurance depends on whether you become fully self-employed or if you are self-employed in addition to having another job or studying. So if you are full-time self-employed, this means that the startup is your main occupation, and in that case, your contributions to health insurance will be based on your income. But if you are part-time self-employed, this means that your startup is your secondary occupation along your studies or your job. In general, we could say that if you work a maximum of 20 hours per week as a self-employed person or only employ a single temporary worker, for example on a minor basis like mini job, then you are considered to be part-time self-employed. But there are other conditions and special situations that apply. So the best advice is to book an appointment with a consultant to analyze your particular case.
Students are usually covered by family or student insurance. Then as part-time self-employed people, often they stay in their existing insurance. As a full-time self-employed people must insure themselves voluntarily in the statutory system or privately. So you see, misjudgments here can quickly lead to back payments. That's why we recommend early advice.
If you are a student and want to create a startup and you start to grow, you also start to see that you want to hire people, maybe as temporary workers, for example, or as Aushilfe, mini job. What are the chances or possibilities here for startups?
If you want to hire people, please contact us because we can check that with you. We can tell you if it's worth it. Yeah, which type is interesting for you as a startup. I can just clarify like the mini job, you can earn up to 603 euro per month, or short term, that's a maximum of 3 months working in a row. Or you can work 70 days per year, which not must be in a row. So the next could be a working student, which is really often. There are special rules for social contributions, good to know. And interns, depends on type and duration. So each form has different reporting and requirements and contribution rates.
And another topic about the health insurance is when we are working for a company in Germany, for example, and get sick, they cover our salary for up to 6 weeks. And after that is our health insurance, the one that covers it. What is it like for entrepreneurs? Because they don't have like a company that is paying this for them. How does it look like in this case?
That's true. Self-employed people do not automatically receive sick pay. So at TK, you can insure this voluntarily. The standard is from the 43rd day of illness, means like 6 weeks. Optional, if you want to start earlier, there's an extra contribution. This is especially crucial for founders.
And once the startup is legally founded and it enters like the next stage, the founding phase, it's common to build a team. So what do entrepreneurs need to think about when hiring employees, and how do they register them with Social Security?
Mm-hmm. So when startup hires its first employees, the company's responsibilities change fundamentally. From this moment, the business becomes an employer under Social Security law and takes on a range of obligations. This includes registering new employees with the relevant Social Security agencies before they start work. The employer is also responsible for correctly calculating, withholding, and paying for contributions for the health, long-term care, pension, unemployment insurance on time, what we mentioned before. In the early stages, this step is often underestimated because the focus is on the product and finance. That's why at Social Pizza, our team will help startups set up these processes properly from the beginning to avoid back payments or legal problems later on.
And when do employees have to pay these social security contributions, like what in Germany we call Sozialversicherungspflicht?
It starts from the very first day of work, regardless of whether someone works full-time, part-time, or on a temporary contract. This means that contributions must be paid from the very first euro of wages, except in certain cases like mini-jobs or short-term employment. But importantly, this obligation cannot be waived by individual agreements, even if employers and employees agree otherwise. Social security law always applies. If you are confused or need an advice, please contact us. We will check any contract, what you are planning. And if you have one, we can also check that. So there will be no back payments for you as a founder.
And is the type of contract relevant here when it comes to social security contributions? You mentioned briefly like a mini-job, midi-job. But can you explain maybe a bit more about that, like internships or working students or part-time jobs?
No, it's not relevant for Social Security. It's not what's written in the contract that matters, but how the work is actually performed. So whether someone is called a freelancer, intern, or temporary assistant is legally secondary. What counts is whether the person works under instructions, has set working hours, and is integrated into the company. So startups often encounter so-called false self-employment. This can be expensive, so early checks, again, are worthwhile.
I saw that the Techniker Krankenkasse has a tool called SV Meldeportal. Can you tell us a bit how does it work and how can it help startups to manage all these contributions?
Yes, the SV Meldeportal is not from TK, but we give advice. It's a digital platform through which companies register and deregister their employees with the social security agencies. Through this portal, you can submit registrations when starting work, deregistration when leaving, about your employees, the annual reports and changes in salary or employment type. For startups, this is often the first point of contact with bureaucracies. That's why at Social Pizza we explain step by step how the portal works and which reports are needed when. Especially when you have the first case, please get in touch with us. I did it in the past. We just share the desktop and clarify any questions, and I think everybody should do this and use this service.
And are there differences in social security depending on the type of company created? For example, in Germany we have UG, Einzelunternehmen, GmbH.
Yeah, the choice of the legal form has a big impact on liability or your taxes and financing, but not on the obligation for the health insurance, whether solopreneur, UG or GmbH. And as soon as someone is self-employed full-time, they must insure themselves for health and long-term care. Differences exist only for managing directors, for example, in GmbHs, if they are also shareholders. Here too, we offer individual advice again, as every situation is evaluated differently.
And finally, do you have any advice for students or alumni who are thinking of starting a business in Germany and they are maybe overwhelmed by social security and all the things they need to take into account?
I love that question. Yeah, my most important advice, don't wait until problems arise. If you're founding a company, deal with social security, insurance, and employees early, even if the topic seems dry at first. Seek advice, exchange ideas with other founders, and use support services like Social Pizza from TK. Founding is not a solo project. Again, with the right network, it's much easier and safer.
And how can people find you or reach you or find more information about Social Pizza?
We have a landing page. It's called socialpizza.tk.de. And on this webpage, you can book a consulting for free. It's not necessary that you are insured with TK. You can easily book an appointment. with us. And my team speaks also English. And if you want to get in touch with me, then I think you just use the mail. It's luis.garbo@tcape.de. Yeah, you can find it also, I think, in the show notes. And if you want to see me as a person, then you can come to Darmstadt in the Hub 31. And every Wednesday I'm here for a consulting day. And yeah, looking forward to see you there.
Okay, thank you for your time. It was a complicated topic, but I think we could find ways to make it a bit more easily to understand. And as you mentioned, the best way is that they make an appointment because every case is unique. And that's exactly what your team does, to check every case individually and give advice.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to speak with you, Camilla, and yeah, all the best to you.
This was our episode about social security with Luis Garbo from Techniker Krankenkasse. If you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please email us at info@ics-rm.de or contact us through our social media channels. Startup Takeoff, Your Way to Entrepreneurship in Germany is a podcast of the International Career Service Rhein-Main, a project that supports international students and students with a history of migration to start their career or business in Germany. The project is funded by the European Union and the State of Hesse. To know more about our offers, please visit our website at ics-rm.de. You can also connect with us on social media. You find us on Instagram and TikTok as @ics_rm. And on YouTube and LinkedIn as @ics-rm. Thanks for listening, and until next month.